we're nothing but a generation of losers. Sitting on our butts, playing video games, and watching MTV. That's not true!
National Lampoon's senior trip.
Let's party!
The seniors of Fairmount High are on their way to Washington.
Come on, hop in.
Let's do some van damage.
I'm here to save you.
I've decided that I don't want to go to college a virgin.
Oh, it looks like you're going to be a mother.
Pop quiz, hotshot. You have 10 students in a store containing your high school principal. What do you do? What do you do?
With Matt Frewer as the principal.
I'm not gonna have you people make a fool out of me.
And Tommy Chung as the bus driver.
Open the door. What's the magic words? Please.
National Lampoon's
Steady as she goes.
senior trip.
Yay!
Pull my finger.
Good one, Mioski.
National Lampoon's Senior Trip is a 1995 teen comedy directed by Kelly Macon, who also directed one of my all-time favorite comedies, as I stated before on this show, Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy, along with episodes of the influential series. And I guess this movie is technically part of the Canucksploitation genre. The film stars Jeremy Renner in his feature film debut, veteran actor Matt Frewer, Eric Sparky Edwards, Canadian comedy legend Kevin MacDonald,
Go. Go. Don't worry. I'm a professional. I know exactly what I'm doing. Go.
with a cameo from Tommy Chong, and a small role from Canadian genre actress Nicole DeBoer. The film tells the story of some burnout Gen Xers being used as pawns in a government scheme to profit on school programs across America, by propping up the more intellectually challenged students in front of the president to display the failed youth and lay guilt on the educational system. Yeah, it's kind of a weird plot, especially considering the ending we all got was a last-minute reshoot. The original ending involving Kevin MacDonald's character, the Star Trek-obsessed crossing guard, surviving and returning to graduation to wreak havoc.
And you two dopers are still roaming the halls. Why aren't you two at the assembly?
Principal Moss, we've been looking everywhere for you.
What are you talking about?
This guy just totally trashed your car.
Not my new Buick.
Yeah. We tried to chase him and everything, but he got away. He, was wearing a Billy Joel t-shirt.
While the film gets a bad rap still, and constantly pops up on lists of National Lampoon's worst movies, and it was not very well received, especially upon its release, it has gone on to be a cult classic, and a unique snapshot of the 90s. The fashion, the music, the drug-infused teen comedy stands out among others of the time. It holds a certain charm that I attribute to the director, Kelly Macon, who has a way of delivering comedy so natural it just doesn't matter how silly it is, as seen on his work on the Canadian cult series, Kids in the Hall.
I liked it. Nice ass.
Yeah, nice ass. Did you see what I did? I put a dime right in his navel, and it stopped. You know why? Because he was sweaty.
Actor Jeremy Renner had mainly been working on TV commercials at this time, specifically for Bud Light beer, and he immediately won the hearts of casting directors, and although being an unknown and not the only one to audition, won the lead role of Mark Dags D'Agostino. Needless to say, Jeremy has gone on to do some great things, but he got there by choosing to do roles that didn't focus on his pretty boy looks, and actually took a lot of risk in his early career, and being so successful still seems so humble, especially when reminded of his earlier roles.
Now, I've got to bring this up. When doing research about you before coming to chat to you, I found out that you were in a well-loved 1995 film, National Lampoon's Senior Trip.
Okay, well, yeah.
And one of my favourite quotes in film is, "Let's do some van damage."
Oh, God.
Let's do some van damage.
Boy, I hate the internet. You know, you just can't. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I was actually, you know, that was my first job in Los Angeles as an actor. So I love that, man.
It's a great.
The film also stars a scene-stealing 90s icon, Eric Sparky Edwards, who was just all over the place in the 90s, including multiple National Lampoon properties. Yeah, all the good ones. In this film, playing the slobbish Meowski. And I'm telling you, as usual, he steals every scene he's in easily. Oh, and there's a hilarious beat thread that happens in this film involving Dag's best friend, the drugged-out Reggie, played by Rob Moore, when he upsets the Trekkie school crossing guard, played by Kevin McDonald.
Hey, dickhead! Don't you even know your way around the neighborhood? That's it! Go, go, go! Go!
Later, psycho!
He winds up stalking the bus the entire trip looking for revenge, and nobody believes Reggie's claims of the deranged crossing guard following them their entire trip, assuming it's just Reggie's drug-addled brain malfunctioning. Ah, that's just great stuff.
Spark, beat me up. Spark, I'm ready now.
There is some off-the-wall shit in this movie. One notable moment is the porn parodies that I think actually aged pretty well. The film not only flirts with parody, but also with spoof, with a few references to the mega popular and mega badass action flick Speed, which was a huge hit at the time. I remember that.
Pop quiz, hotshot. You have 10 underage students craving alcoholic beverages in a store containing your high school principal. What do you do? What do you do?
Too late! I'm gonna try and jump the water!
I'm Meowski. I'm here to save you.
And the ironic foreshadowing of the Freddy vs. Jason film.
Did you ever wonder if Jason has nightmares and if Freddy can invade his nightmares?
Yeah.
I think about that all the time.
The film is also in the highly exclusive ranks of 90s films to feature the song Boom Shakalak by Apache Indian.
You cut him off to the tunnel. I'm gonna go get his maelstrom.
She avoided us. What was it that kept her away?
Don't y'all miss that? The script floated around for a good while before being produced and was looked at by some big names in the industry, but it eventually wound up a National Lampoon property, which at the time, well, let's talk about National Lampoon for a bit. We all know about the National Lampoon Frat Boys, the first group. They started a magazine. It was good. They made a movie about a space beaver. It sucked. Then bam! Animal House, the Vacation trilogy. Super successful, horrible with money. They sold due to bad investments in 1990 to Jim Jamiro and J2 Productions. He was the head of Disney Home Video at the time. With him we got the classics like Loaded Weapon 1, Senior Trip, Dad's Week Off, National Lampoon's Van Wilder, Golf Punks, what the fuck? But due to poor licensing and failure to keep up with the production of the magazine, in 2002 it was sold to Dan Lakin, where we got super mega hits like these movies, and even a sequel to a classic Lampoon film that actually exists. But he eventually wound up in prison for artificially inflating the stock price of the company. So it was then sold to Tim Durham, who again licensed a bunch of crap and wound up in prison over a Ponzi scheme. Today the company still exists in various forms, but its legacy is ultimately tarnished. Even the next installments of the Vacation series abandoned the title. Well, that is, aside from Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure, which is a real movie, I promise you. I think that a senior trip would have been its own thing without the Lampoon title. It would have been better received, just because at that point the name wasn't necessarily equated with greatness and, you know. Anyways, there's a lot of iconic scenes in this film. Let me show you my favorite one.
Hey, Virus. Bet you never made moves like this in your chess club. Want a screw? Excuse me. Yeah, it was great for me too.
The film has a solid spot in the 90s teen stoner comedy genre.
How do you get this thing to work, man?
And to me is one of the best. Upon watching it again after years, I found myself laughing a lot harder than I should have. Seeing it with older eyes is just so hilarious.
Hey, Reggie. Pretty cool how we trashed the assembly, huh?
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Nothing.
Most of the physical comedy in the movie was brought to life by actor Renner Edwards, who at the time went by Eric Sparky Edwards, who was basically a staple in 90s comedies, and I had the honor of catching up with Eric about his time on the film. Let's take a look at that.
Well, first of all, I don't think they're ever going to catch what they did with, like, Vacation and, like when the original SNL crew and that the guys out of the actual Harvard Lampoon. And this is crazy. The Fairley brothers, when they were being interviewed by the LA Times years ago, were talking about how kind of the studios can screw up a movie. And he actually mentioned Senior Trip written by Roger Cumberland and the partner saying that's one of the best scripts they had ever read until the studios got a hold of it. And I was like, damn, really? I was that close to a great, but I had a fucking blast. And you know what's crazy is if they would have been, this is, talk about hubris, because for a time I worked for Nielsen, the guys that do the ratings, the test screenings, and for shits and giggles, my boss pulled up the stuff from Senior Trip, and he said they did a PG-13 cut. It was one of the highest tested. The test scores were crazy, but they decided to go R. If they would have went PG-13, I think it would have been a huge, because that's kind of like on cable, it automatically becomes PG-13, whether it has nudity or weed or whatever. Does that make sense? Because people, for instance, you were not 18 when it was released. I'm looking at you. No, so does that mean? So I think if they would have, if he was not, and I think the only thing that put us over was Tommy Chong ripping a bong is which pushed us over to the R. If he would have fucking lost that, like in other words, cut around that and kept PG-13, it probably would have done infinitely better in the box office. Or they should have said, let's go hard R and add a hardcore crazy sex scene somewhere in it.
Oh, man.
Boy, you guys, man, you sure don't know how to party, man. Boy, when I was your age, well, we partied, man. Well, talk about party, might as well get one going.
It was like, that's what I'm saying, if they would have went PG-13, like kind of worked around that. I mean, like I said, the test scores are crazy, you know. But look, I got to become real close with Jeremy Renner, you know. I mean, which, you know, that's like one of the coolest. I mean, that was one of my favorite. One of my favorite. I mean, I had a lot of good times on film, but I really had a blast on that movie. I was stealing scenes left and fucking right. I got to work with Kevin fucking McDonald.
Stop! Stop! I said stop!
Matt Fewer, and first of all, I got to see how good Jeremy Renner was going to be. There's a scene where he just asked for directions, you know, to where the party is, you know, where he asked Kevin McDonald.
Never. Hey, dude, you know how to get to 237 Stratford Road? Well, dude, how about Sterling Ridge Lane?
And I remember after the cut, you know, came out and go, dude, you're fucking good. He goes, I was just asking for directions. I was going, exactly. You were just asking for directions. You were just really not, you know, like that's fucking, I mean, it's, and as you see, look at him, look how fucking good he is. I mean, he's crazy. So, you know, and I got shitloads of really cool Jeremy Renner stories, you know. Oh yeah. I mean, they're like, you know, really, I got, you know, there's every once in a while I'll put on Facebook, like, I got like pictures of us going to Niagara Falls, you know.
So can you tell us one of them Jeremy Renner stories?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, here's what it is. Okay, actually, she's still one of my closest friends. She's a big publicist out here. At the Toronto Film, they, you know, had us as special guests to the Toronto Film Festival. And Jeremy, you know, was a handsome young man. Dude, I so want to tell like a really dirty. Well, okay, here's what I'm saying. I am the reason why Jeremy Renner does not have any illegitimate children in Canada right now. My friends sent me with an entire gross of condoms because, well, they really thought a lot of me. And just say this became literally a nightly ritual. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, I would get a knock on my door, and I would just pass a condom.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
And he would go, thanks. I hope that's not too bad. Jeremy used to come see my plays, and he'd pick up. I mean, he's a good-looking dude. He'd pick up chicks, you know, like he definitely has to speak fondly of me. I mean, Jeremy, I can't be more. I mean, he's fucking hot guy, motherfucker. You know. And then what's cool is I remember I a couple months, like maybe 6 months ago, he did Howard Stern's show, and he sounded like the same old Jeremy, just laughing, and you know what I'm saying, like, oh, I think he's doing this. I think he's handling it all right. You know, and he's getting better. So that's all that matters. You know. Yeah.
Well, hey Eric, I really appreciate you doing this, man. I really am just a huge fan.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's very sweet.
And I hope whoever sees this has enough sense to subscribe to Staunch TV, where I will be putting our full interview up. And that was so much fun to do. Just thank you so much, Eric.
Dude, my pleasure. Anytime, you know, just, you know, buzz me up. This was, you're a very classy young man. Keep on doing what you're doing. And like I said, that's very, very nice of you. Thank you for contacting me.
You take care, buddy. As I said, be sure to subscribe to Staunch TV, where I'll soon be uploading the full interview with Eric, where we talk about some of his great films and his very memorable career. And later in the series, we have an episode of one of the most bizarre 90s comedies I had the pleasure of seeing as a kid, Miracle Beach, also featuring the mighty Eric Edwards. We have some cool stuff planned for Staunch on Film in the upcoming months. Be sure to subscribe to stay notified. And I'll go ahead and lead out with a trailer to my documentary, Forever, the Untold Story of Rock and Roll High School Forever. Until next time, folks. Don't forget to rewind.
5 minutes before I went on, they gave me a new script with new lines, and everything that you see was pretty much improvised. We pretty much just winged it.
One of my favorite lines in the movie is Steven when we're all peeing, and he goes, that's not my pee.
Hey, that's not my pee.
She didn't talk unless she had to, and when she did, what she said was just very to the point.
I'd rather be weird than Whitney.
Rather be weird than Whitney. That's exactly it. Like.
So once we were writing the song, I said, well, maybe we should get you more involved in the movie.
Love at the laundromat. She gave me the script and she said, I want you to put together this band called A Zillion Kisses.
I ended up being, roommates and extremely close friends with Patrick Malone.
We got so broke that we would have garage sales in our apartment complex.
Oh my God, what? What?
He was still one of the Coreys,
Corey was definitely using a little bit of heroin while we were shooting that. He was snorting it. He wasn't shooting it.
Unfortunately, we got a lot of negative press when he sort of got caught with his drug issues.
They hate it when we do this.
You shouldn't have gone to the bathroom a lot. Hey, there's blood coming out of your nose, buddy.
I actually saw Corey on his tour last
I'm
year.
sorry.
And,
Do you want your time back?
I remember, being impressed with Corey's dancing because he would just always dance.
I had a great time on it, actually. Met a great friend in Steven.
It was magical. It really was. It was magical. I was spoiled to have that as my first film,
I had a lot of fun on that.
So, does anybody ever ask you about this movie?
No, man, it's funny. You are the one.
Love at the laundromat. I fell in love at the laundromat. She's a very clean girl, and I like 'em like that. I fell in love at the laundromat. She pulled off my shirt, and I watched it.